Gonna make a video for you, but now I'm freaking starving. Let's go get a steak. Hey look, I got a new tanuki. What's up? My friend Sebastian says it looks more like a pig. I don't know, it's actually a tanuki. If you don't have these barefoot shoes, I highly recommend them. Damn, I forgot the bag. Donzo's new coloring. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? They grow up fast. I want to talk to you about the best book that you've never read. And why haven't you read it? Because it was never translated until just now. One of my favorite books by Hatsumi Sensei is called Ima Ninja. And you probably never read it because it was never translated until just now. One of our Bujinkan members, Don Houle up there in New York, translated it. And it's a hard book to translate, I won't lie. He did a great job because this is an incredibly hard. I mean, you know how hard it is to translate for Sensei if you've been in the Hobo Dojo, right? Like we would translate for him and he'd be like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. I need 10 translators, not one of you can do it. I need 10 of you at one time. And you can confer among yourself and find out what I really said. And it was kind of true. You know, Sensei his writing is as crazy as his speaking, right? He will change thought process mid-sentence. He will change the kanji or the Japanese characters so it changes the whole tone or even the meaning of the sentence. So it's no joke, man. It's tough. Just let me tell you a story about this while we're here in front of these beautiful flowers. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? Right here in Noda. A long time ago, I had taught English at a small elementary school for about 2 or 3 years before I started my street performing. And there was a really nice teacher there, a great guy. He was so suave. He was like this 73-year-old guy at that time, just so knowledgeable, knew everything about Japan, history, traditions, languages, you name it, he knew it. So he used to sit right across the desk from me, and I would bring in Sensei's articles or books, and I'd be trying to read them. And we had all kinds of great conversations about anything you can imagine. So one day I'm trying to read one of Sensei's articles and it's impossible. I can't figure it out. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna ask this guy. And so I go, Sensei, not Hatsumi Sensei, but the guy at the school, right? This really suave, you know, 73-year-old gentleman who used to wear like tweed jackets. And he had a huge record collection at his house with big speakers, you know, he used to drink whiskey, just a really cool guy. And so I go, Sensei, can you help me out with this? I don't understand this. So he takes it, starts reading it. He's reading it, and he's reading it, and he looks up at me and he says, this is not Japanese. Japanese people can't read this. So if you can read it, you're amazing. So yeah, Sensei's books are super difficult to translate. For example, this book here, it's called Ima Ninja, right? Oh, Ima, what does that mean? Ima Ninja, Ima. Ima means now, right? So what are you gonna translate it to, like now ninja? Doesn't make any freaking sense. People are really like, what the hell does that even mean? Like that meme, right?
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
I mean, Ima Ninja, now ninja, what does that mean? And Don translated it as the ninja of today, which is fair enough. I probably would have done that too. But it doesn't really capture the flavor or the essence of Ima Ninja, right? Ima kind of reminds me of that expression, that Zen expression, Nakaima, which means in the middle of right now. You know, maybe I would have said something like forever ninja or always ninja. I mean, it's really difficult. You have to get the feeling of what Sensei's trying to convey to us. Oh, look at that, there's my wife there. Hey, look, what are you doing here? Where are you?
What are you doing?
I'm trying to make a video. I've been trying to make a video forever and I just can't get it right. Say hello to everybody.
Hello.
I'm getting a steak, I'm so hungry.
Good.
All right,
Yes.
I'll see you at home.
Yeah, see you.
Bye-bye. Ima Ninja, I mean, it's got a really deep meaning, like right now, always, forever, in this moment we are ninja, because we only live in the moment. We always forget that, right? People spend too much time living in the graveyard of the past or the fantasy of the future, right? And we all know they're just sitting there lamenting, repenting, regretting the past. We spend years there probably in the past, and also we spend years in the future, like thinking about what could have been, should have been, what will be, and it never comes to be, right? We're never here, right? But Sensei says Ima Ninja, like we're always ninja. Right now, in this present moment, we're always ninja. It doesn't matter what generation you're in. It doesn't matter if you were born in the medieval ages and you're wearing black and scaling castle walls, or if you're right now in the middle of this era making the damn best life, the goddamn best life you can ever freaking make right now. That's a ninja. Ima Ninja. Many of you know this is Eon. Here's the bread store over here. I'm gonna go right back. I never come anywhere in this place except for like where the butter is, or the meat is, or the fish. And that's about it. Sometimes I do some yogurt as well, but my diet is a whole nother video for a whole nother time. So if you're into it, here's a bunch of the ready-made food you can get. Lots of good snacky stuff, croquets and fish and all kinds of stuff here. One thing I don't like about Eon, and I do love this store, but they don't have any ground beef here. I have to go to my own butcher, but that's a small price to pay. There it is. This is for people who like sushi. Look at this stuff. I mean, it's fantastic, isn't it? That's 1,400 yen for that sushi. Amazing, right? But I prefer the sashimi. I don't like the rice. So look at that, amazing. It just keeps going. And this maguro, these like kind of chunks of maguro that they don't use, it's just delicious. And more. It's just everywhere. This stuff here is so delicious and so cheap. You gotta love Japan. There's a lot to talk about in this book, right? Now, if you notice, the first thing you may notice if you pick it up, and there'll be links in the description below for where you can buy this book now that it's translated. Now, there are no pictures. Well, there's a few pictures at the end for Amatsutara, right? But for most part, it's just stories. Stories. What the stories do. This is why I love Sensei, because check this out. My other favorite book by Sensei is called Togaku Ryu Ninpo Taijutsu, right? Or Ninpo. That book wasn't first published as Togaku Ryu Ninpo. Nope. It was published, and here it is. I have a copy of it. One of my neighbors gave it to me. This is the first edition of it. And you'll see, wow, that wind is strong. I hope the video is okay. And you'll see on the book here that's called Mono no Mikata Kangaikata, which means the way you look at things, the way you think about things. And that's what these two books are, for me at least, is they give us insight. They give us a way to look at senseis or to understand a little bit about how sensei's thinking, right? The thinking of someone who is doing, well, ninjutsu, something that he was taught by his sensei. Others may disagree, say, hey, we're not doing ninjutsu. Who gives up? Well, I can't say that word now, but who cares, right? But I remember Sensei was talking to a TV reporter one day, and the reporter's like, so you do ninjutsu? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, some people say I do ninjutsu. He's like, some people say I don't, you know? And she's like, what about others that do ninjutsu? He's like, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. He's like, I'm just doing what my teacher taught to me. And I thought that was a really amazing answer. And that's kind of what I think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm doing ninjutsu. I do think I probably am doing ninjutsu, but I am just following in my teacher's footsteps. And these books give you that insight. They give you that kind of hint at how a ninja might think. And so these books for me are not about knowledge, right? Knowledge are the books that have all the kata written out or pictures of bojutsu or whatever in it, right? But these books don't have that. Knowledge is always changing anyways, right? I mean, I talked about that in my latest Ninpo Den with Nakatake-san. We talked about knowledge and how it's always changing. For example, back in the day, you know, everyone thought that the sun revolved around the earth, that the earth was the center of the universe. And if you said it wasn't, boy, woo, you were like this heretic, right? You were just, you know, you were burned at the stake, right? And then a few years later, they find out, oh, by the way, sorry about that. Actually, we revolve around the sun, and I'm sorry about burning your friend to death. You know, I mean, just ridiculous, right? But this book has wisdom in it, timeless wisdom, and I think, well, it doesn't really have the wisdom, but it has the way that you might be able to start to kickstart the wisdom. Whoa, that was a big step. That you might be able to kickstart the wisdom in your life, right? These give you the spark that might help you to start thinking about things differently. Because that's really what made me stay with Hatsumi Sensei, is this way of looking at things a little bit differently, from a different angle, a different perspective, right? And that for me is a ninja, because everyone has a straight on view of things, right? But Sensei's view was always a bit from a different angle, up, down, from up, behind, around the back, you know, who knows? It was always a bit different. And that to me was really, really always interesting. And that's how I wanted to be, and not only in my taijutsu, but in my life, to allow me to then actually put into use, put into practice Banpen Fugyo, right? 10,000 changes, no surprise, because you have no real set way of viewing something. You're always capable of adaptation as a ninja. Let me sit down by my tanuki here. Let me give you one example in the book. Talking to Don about the book, he said there was a part where Sensei was talking about, you know, old ways of fighting, like, you know, being able to throw excrement over the castle walls. Because we're talking a long time ago, right? Sensei was studying these things that happened a long time ago from his teacher and the teachers before them, right? So back when you had a castle, right, you would do anything to save lives at your castle, right? Do any kind of strategy, right? So for example, back in the day, you'd have to just collect all your poop and pee. I say poop and pee now because I have 2 young boys. But you'd collect all that and you'd rain it down on the people trying to climb up the castle walls, wouldn't you? Or maybe you would catapult it into the castle, right? And try to, you know, lower the morale and cause disease and ruin their food, things like this. So we kind of forget that nowadays, and we really want to like fight all the time, don't we? Our martial arts of today are more like fighting, but no one kind of tries to think about, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but there's a lot of, in the mainstream martial arts, this idea of fighting, and that's fine, it's true, you have to know how to fight. But the ninja always use these other types of ideas, a way of preserving life, a way of using kyojutsu. Now, for example, this also happened back in the late 90s or early 2000s, I can't remember when. There was a bus hijacking here in Japan. And they had a guy with a knife on a bus holding a bunch of people hostage. And now eventually they got this guy off and everybody was okay. But the next day the journalists were going around to the martial artists here in Japan. They were saying, hey, now what would you have done if you were on that bus? And you know, a lot of the martial artists, because they're martial artists and thinking about fighting, they'd say, well, you know, I would use my karate and I'd kick him and I'd punch him and I'd shoot him in the neck and drop him. Or, you know, some of the Aikido guys would be like, well, I would use his energy against him and wrist lock him and subdue him. And everyone had their own take on what they would do based on their art, right? Some people were like, well, I'd throw all the backpacks at him and then we'd all attack him at once, which all of these are good. I'm not saying they're not good. I'm saying, hey, fantastic, right? So one day Sensei comes to the dojo and he said, somebody just asked me what I would do if I were on that bus. And we're like, oh yeah, Sensei, what'd you tell him? We were all so interested, right? And he goes, well, I don't know. I was thinking, you know, maybe if I could take a shit in my pants and then like throw it at him, that he'd probably want to leave the bus then. And we're like, oh my God. We're like, no, Sensei, you did not say that. You did not say you would go take a dump and throw it. He was like, yeah. He's like, it was a good idea. And then I thought, well, what if I could get everybody there to take a dump and throw it at him? You know, he'd probably want to leave the bus, you know. And we talked a little about this further again in Ninpo Talks with Nagatake-san, but it was really funny. And he was the only one who said he used this idea, this kind of an ancient idea, maybe wisdom, of how you might get somebody off a bus or to forget about, forget about what he was doing. Because I know if I had a knife and I was threatening people and then somebody hit me in the face with a big, hot, stinking pile of fresh poop, I don't know, but I'd probably put down the knife and regret all my decisions up until then. But you never know how they're going to react. But it was a way of looking at the situation, like I said before, that was different from other people's way of looking at the situation. And that's what I love about Sensei, and that's what I loved about these 2 books, Togakuryu Ninpo, which has been translated. You can find it online. And now this one, Ima Ninja, translated by Don Houle, and there'll be links where you can buy it down below. I do recommend both these books. You're not going to learn kata from them. You're not going to learn, a lot of knowledge, but you're going to get a lot of different ideas to make your wisdom grow, to make your life fertile, to make the flowers bloom, like Kajo-chik say. Look at this monkey. Even he has more wisdom than you. Check him out. He's just bouncing around. Watch his kyojutsu. Impeccable. Nothing to see here. I'm just bouncing, baby. And right on cue, boom! A fist of poop right to your face, all over grandma's nose. Unbelievable. Do all the stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, and support the channel if you can with the links below. Stay safe, everybody. See you next time.